How much additional pressure will KD be carrying going into this game? One, given that he's returning
Yeah,
after 18 months, he hasn't played in a long, long time. Two, that he's playing against his old team,
yeah,
Golden State Warriors. I think they had a great run. Went to three finals, won two of them. He won the finals MVP twice, but kind of left unceremoniously. I would say it was kind of a story that did not go all the way because, despite all his great achievements and all of that, it kind of felt like he was the outsider in the team, right? So,
yeah.
how much pressure will he be going into this game, given that he's going to take on Steph, and it's all Steph today, and
Yeah.
he would be wanting to prove a point to the Warriors fan base and say that wait, he's the better one of the two.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he probably would, but I don't think there's going to be too much pressure on him outside of the pressure that he puts on himself. That's really how
Mm-hmm.
I see it. And he shouldn't be putting too much pressure on himself. The objective is to have KD back for the season and then for good beyond this season, right? And the last thing you'd
Right.
want to see is um, KD rushing it and going all out a little too early and then picking up another injury. That's the last thing anyone needs. Certainly, the last thing the league needs.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of the pressure that he puts on himself, no, shouldn't be that much because when you're KD, everyone knows your resume, everyone knows your Finals MVPs, everyone's seen you play on that Warriors team and be the best player on that stacked Warriors team. So really, if KD has an off day coming off of that catastrophic injury, he's going to get some slack. He's going to get cut plenty of slack because this isn't an unproven player who talks a big game. This is KD. Everyone knows what he's all about. So he's going to get a
Right.
ton of slack from everyone
Huh?
because he's
Mm-hmm.
coming back off of an injury. He hasn't played in a year. We get it. It's fine. If he has a great game, of course, the hyperbole is going to be out of this world. But that upside isn't really worth it at this stage. So outside of unless he's really driven and motivated to come out and make a statement,
Mm-hmm.
I think just come out, get some minutes under your feet. It's fine if the outcome doesn't go your way either. It's too early in the season. It really doesn't matter that much. It shouldn't at least.
There are three superstars returning for this game apart from KD and Steph. There's
Yeah.
also Kyrie Irving who hasn't played in a long time.
Hmm.
He played like 18 matches last season. He'll be keen to make a statement as well, given his off-season dramatics and
Yeah.
uh, all the drama that he pulled around with not talking to the media and all the big talk he had about not having a teammate that he could pass the ball previously and all of that. So how much would that weigh on Kyrie's, like, whenever he runs onto the field, I think he's a totally different personality, he's a live wire, right, with the ball. So how much do you think that'll weigh on Kyrie's mind?
Yeah, Kyrie's always at his best when his back's against the wall, especially from public perception. And he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't often make it easy on himself, does he now? With the kind of things that he goes out and says in the media. It's not that he's a bad guy. Sometimes he just tends to say things that either antagonize people or rub people off the wrong way, or have people sit up and say, well, that was weird. That's really not what we would expect from a superstar like that, right? And one way or another, the spotlight's always on him and it's not always in his favor. But that's really also when Kyrie is at his best. When the crowds are hostile, when the media is not really being very positive about him, when people are saying he is disruptive, he's not a good force to have in the locker room. All of these, whenever there's negativity, one way or another, Kyrie comes out and shines. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is that's not always in the team's best interest. Like he'll put up a ton of points, may not really translate to wins. We saw it with Boston, we saw it with Brooklyn. And that's really where Steve Nash and that experienced coaching staff, because he's got D'Antoni's seen this before, right? He's worked with Harden now, and you've got KD on the floor, on the bench as a leader. You would hope that that would kind of rein it in and focus Kyrie's energies towards ultimately translating all of that, all of those fireworks into a win. But Kyrie is always at his best when things get hostile, and just like Michael Jordan used to find a way to make it personal, find a way to find these little nuances that
Mm-hmm.
he could turn into rivalries and kind of mini challenges in game. I don't know if Kyrie plans this out, but inadvertently he
Uh-huh.
always creates a scenario where there's some kind of hostility or the other, and he has to come out and prove himself and shine through the shade, as Cam Newton puts it. And he does. Boy, does he do it! He does. He has the skill set to back it up. So anytime that Kyrie is pissed off, even if it's his own doing, there's always a game to look forward to whenever he's on the court next.
The last time we saw the Warriors, they faded away to a 15-50
Yeah,
record.
yeah,
And it was a totally irrelevant team, totally different team as well. The last time we saw Brooklyn Nets, they conceded 150 points to Toronto Raptors before they just
Yeah.
got kicked out of the playoffs. Both these teams are looking totally different. Brooklyn Nets a little less different, but they have the two big stars, which makes them an entirely different team. Now, how do you think these two teams will line up, and how do you think the result will go, or who are you betting on? Not literally, I know you don't bet, but
Mhm.
who do you put your money on if you had to?
For this game, or Brooklyn, easy.
Yep.
Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
It should be easy. I'd be shocked if they make
Mm-hmm.
a mess of things. And again, from Golden State's perspective, there's no
Mm-hmm.
Draymond, there's no Clay, there's Steph all by himself, there's Kelly Oubre who's new to the team, there's Wiggins who still hasn't quite found his feet in the Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
and there's James Wiseman who'll start, quite frankly, because they really don't have anyone else. He's a rookie. This is going to be his first NBA game, assuming he does start.
Yep.
So the focus that, like, it'll be a miracle if they win. I think what they should be looking to do is kind of get the team going, get a few games under their belt, see
Mm-hmm.
what rotations work best, what schemes work best, how does Steph run the offense, and figure things out really. And if they can get a win, great, nothing like it. But if they lose this game, isn't the end of the world. I think their focus should be to get their best five sorted, to get all of their schemes in place for Steve Kerr to figure out the rotations, what combos work best on the floor, what happens
Mm-hmm.
when Steph is off the floor, who takes over, all of these things, right? I think that they'd be better served just figuring these things out and treat this sort of like an extension of the preseason rather than go all out. And for that reason, there's just too much firepower in Brooklyn, and I really can't see them losing this.
How do you think the Brooklyn will turn up? Because you have an all-world offense.
Yeah.
KD and Kyrie itself is
Mhm.
all-world. Then you have Dinwiddie, you have Karis LeVert, you have Jarrett Allen, you have DeAndre Jordan. How do you fit all of these guys? Gary Harris.
Yeah, that's really the challenge, isn't it? Because you have a curious mix of, you have some players who will offer you a firecracker mid-range game. You have some
Mm-hmm.
players that offer you outstanding spacing and outside shooting. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have rim protection, and then you have points in the paint. And often these two don't go hand in hand. So you have one or the other as your options. So there's a lot of, it's almost like a Subway sandwich, isn't it, their squad? And you've got to figure out how you piece together the bread with the veggies and the proteins and the sauces, and how do you get all of this to work. Um, Much like a Subway sandwich, it's going to take quite a few iterations before you find what you really like. And even then, it's not going to be what you really, really like. It's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit like that. Also, if that Harden trade is still on the cards, we might see some of these players not even stay in Brooklyn. There's that
Right.
angle. And at this point, we're just wildly speculating, right? But look, I think Kyrie and KD are their cornerstones. They're going to build around them. So now
Mm-hmm.
what they've got to figure out is who complements them. Can someone, do you want spacing to clear the lanes? Or do you want some inside presence to dish it into and kind of work a triangle sort of system, get that going? What schemes really work that are best suited to these two guys? And for me, I think loading up with shooters works really well, because you've seen KD surrounded by shooters in Golden State. You've seen uh, Kyrie and LeBron work in a system that surrounds them with a lot of 3 and D guys, and that works incredibly
Mm-hmm.
well. So the way the league's going, 3-point shooting is everything. When you have two elite players like this who can both take it inside, to have spacing, to have shooters, just makes you an unstoppable offense, rather than loading up on the low post, which kind of creates a duality that you don't need on the floor when you have Kyrie and KD. They can play all out, wide out on the perimeter, and now you have 5 guys that can shoot, and it's just a nightmare for the defense. And with Kyrie and KD, you always have the ability to cut inside, finish at the rim. If it's Dinwiddie, you've got a mid-range game. There's a lot of curious options. Steve Nash was an elite playmaker, the kind of playmaker that would, in the snap of a finger, look at a defense and say, all right, this is how we're going to break them down, and this is how we space the floor. These are the runs and cuts we make, and this is how I'll get the ball to the guy that's best positioned to make the highest percentage play. Steve Nash was elite
Right.
at that on the floor. It'll be really interesting to see how he can get that going from the bench. But he's got D'Antoni, and I don't know what he'll do on defense, because I've never seen him do anything on defense. But D'Antoni is one of the best in the world at setting up offenses. And
Mm-hmm.
if his Houston Rockets were anything to go by, if his Phoenix Suns were anything to go by, this is going to be a special team.